Hey YouTube, Brian Phillips here again. Working on the Sunbird glider, and one aspect, okay, so we did a little packing up inside of here that is going to help to protect the battery. There were some bolts that went through to help mount the motor when my grandpa had built that, and so I just put this foam, which is just squishy, that keeps the battery from running into it in a crash, less likely to have a fire from the LiPo. And then this just something to keep it from sliding so easy. Then we got our new 30 amp ESC in there. Got the battery lead that comes here. This isn't even held down. It doesn't really need to be held down. But my next step was going to be to go ahead and secure the antennas and then also get the prop balanced. The antennas are just flopping around in there, and normally that's not maybe a huge deal, except that in this configuration he had the antennas sitting right next to the servos, so if you were in the right condition, then you could cause the antenna to actually get shot up into the servo, which would not be good. And these are diversity antennas, so there's two of them, so we're going to do both of those real quick. And I just want to show you that. Then we're going to go ahead and do the bouncing of the prop. So peeling out the tape. Tape was just holding it in position, which is fine if it's effective, but this tape just has either become ineffective over time or something else. Maybe it was junk to begin with. So real quick tip, you just put a little dab of hot glue on the Q-tip, and then you can sit here and push that up here along the shelf, and you want to glue along the actual black, not the silvery clearish part at the end of that diversity antenna. That's the part that's actually doing the transmission of data, or the reception of data in this case. And then what you can do is just do one little teeny bit of glue, and you'll glue the tip down. And you don't need to hold the whole tip down, because if you need to remove this receiver at some point, you don't want to have to damage the antennas to accomplish that. And so I'm just slipping it down into the crack of the frame there. And okay, so now that I have this one taped this way or glued that way, I want the other one to go another direction. And you can see how the antennas are coming out of this cabinet. It's a little bit different. When they come by factory, they come out the side there. And so I always, well, I don't always, but I change them a lot of times, because then it gives me a better chance at getting the antenna pointed the direction I want. And diversity antennas work best when they're at 90 degrees to each other. Whether that 90 degrees is here or here doesn't really matter, because you can pick up the widest range of diversity in the noise. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to intentionally pick up noise. In this case, the noise we're looking for is the signal from our transmitter. So I think on this one, it's just not quite a wide enough body. So I'm going to have to do this one so that they ride kind of side by side, and then they make a turn here. Not going to be quite 90 degrees, but you don't want to ever kink a coaxial cable, because that's sort of self-defeating. So I'll get this glued, and then I'll give you guys a shot of the organization of the wires here. I'm gonna basically glue them right on top of each other, and lick your finger and push it down. And then I'm gonna take and make a nice gentle bend into close to 90 degrees one another, and just like I said, just a couple of drips of glue to kind of secure the clear portion. You don't want to like cover it all the way with glue, because you actually might compromise some of the signal reception. In fact, you really probably don't want to put a lot of glue on this portion of it at all. Okay, so you can kind of see it going across laterally, and then the other one goes along the seam of the wood there. So that's going to give us the best chance at success for antenna reception. Now I can go back in here, now that it's tamed, so it's not going to jump around on me. And I can do just a quick slather to kind of neat things up where it goes into the corner of the seam there. And if this were to be in an accident, then there's a chance that the antennas would break. The antennas are quite cheap, but you still want to have them break and not know it. So then I'm going to come over here in this corner and actually just smooth it. Okay, so that's good, and then one more smooth up there just to kind of get everything right the way I like it. Okay, so that's, I'm having trouble reaching in there, so I'm just going to do it like this. Okay, that worked that time. Okay, great. So now the next step is to go ahead and balance the prop. And yes, you could use a prop balancing rig if you're into that sort of thing. The other option is you can use some tape and a pair of scissors or some glue or something of that sort. And so throttle cuts on as we're going to be energizing the circuit here. We energize it. Go and let everything get initiated. Okay, coming up the snuff here. Throttle cut is off. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to feel, I can feel that there's a balance issue. It's not like rocket science-y stuff. I'm going to take a small piece of tape. Electrical tape sometimes doesn't work great because the vinyl tape will sometimes have a little weaker bond than some other types of tape. But for now, I'm just going to cut. This is a fairly big piece for a prop this size. But I'm going to go ahead and put it smack dab in the middle of this blade. It doesn't matter which blade this is. Just put it on one and see if it's better or worse. Worse? Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Now, if it's too big a piece, you'll create an oscillation no matter what. Okay, so we'll find that out. We're going to the same spot on the other. Seems better than the other side, but still not quite right. So now I'm going to come down to the spinner, and I'm just going to stick it on the spinner. Doesn't matter which side, just pick one. That actually feels a little better. So now I'm going to put it on the other side of the spinner. Doesn't matter where on the spinner, just toward the center so you can take off the cone and put it inside later. Okay, that does not feel better. That feels... Okay, now I'm going to do my before and after. So I'm putting the tape on there. Okay, keeping in mind that this battery is one of my junk batteries, so I'm not too terribly worried about that not getting aggressive for us. But that felt better. So what I'm going to do now is, of course, I've got to probably go ahead and get a little better battery for this test. So I got another one right here. It's also a crappy battery. Plugging it in, let things initiate. While that's happening, I'm going to get a Phillips tip screwdriver, like so. Okay. Throttle cuts off. Doesn't sound near as vibration ridden as it was before. So we're going to actually include another piece of tape on the same side. Our battery piece just blew out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on top of the other piece of tape, see if that will help or make it worse. Throttle cuts off. Ironically, it seems to have helped somewhat. I'm going to go ahead and get that stuck down more cleanly. Throttle cuts off. Okay, throttle cuts on. Now we're going to take this piece and we're going to put it up on the prop toward the inside. Throttle cuts off. Did not help, it made it worse. Okay, we're going to go to the inside again, mitigating the amount of correction from the tape. Okay, feels good, but not as good. Okay, now we're going to go to the motor, because there's a few different spinning items on this. This is the top of the motor, we're going to call that. Okay, feels about the same. Now we're going to go on the opposite side. Throttle cuts off. Feels worse. Now we're going to go in the middle. That felt pretty decent there. Now let's try it on the other side and see if there's a vast improvement or if it's the same. If it's the same, it's just all in my head. Ooh, that felt pretty good right there. So I'm going to now take this and cut it in half. I don't think we need it as much. We're going to stick it where we think we want it. We're going to throttle cut off. That sounds pretty good, just the battery sucks. Okay, so now the option is pretty easy. We'll go ahead and pop off the nose cone, which is just to, looks like that screwdriver not quite big enough. We're going to grab another screwdriver here. We're going to stick this back in there. Yeah, it's just junky Hobbyking screws on there, so. Okay, popping that out. There's 2 screws. Then we're going to take that piece of tape and just throw it on the inside of the spinner. And guys, yes, I know that you can do this on a proper balancing rig, but part of the reason I do some of these things without specialty tools is because I don't want to waste the money on the specialty tool and then have it only work for 1/3 of the projects that I do. It's really annoying to me to spend $20 on a utility that takes up room in an already stuffed shop on something that's only going to be used once every 6 years. Now don't forget to keep track of where this spinner is going to go. So you just stick that inside. Piece of tape that was on the outside, now it's inside. Now we stick it back on there. And if you want to be a nice guy to yourself, you'll mark that so that you know without any uncertainty if you happen to peel that off for whatever reason. Okay, so we're just tightening these 2 screws. They've already been screwed in once, so they go pretty decent now. Just don't want to crack the plastic. This is a cheap thing. It only costs like $4. Okay, so now I'm taking a red marker. Red marker will usually show up on black. Okay, so we're just making 1 key mark. That way we know where to line it up again. And another thing that might work even better is if you take a sharp X-Acto knife and you just cut just 1 scrape. You don't want to make it a cut because you don't want to weaken it. But that little surface mount scratch is not going to make a difference. Okay, so now throttle cuts off. Just need to make sure we didn't have anything else happen to us there. Okay, unplugging this battery. This one also sucks. And we're going to go to another 3S pack. Letting it initiate while we put the tape away. Now we might keep the tape. Throttle cuts off. Okay, very good. And when I say good, I mean the batteries suck, but it'll work. The motor's much more balanced than it was. So now that takes care of a couple more things on our list. Guys, we've got a few more things to cross off. Balance prop. Fix elevator, okay. Alright, so we'll be back with some more, guys. Hopefully get a flight video real quick before it gets dark. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.